Alright, welcome back Midlifers. It's me Prashana here. I have a really exciting episode for everyone out there. So as you all know, TTARTISAN, they released an instant camera recently. They actually showcased this last year at CP+, but then they went on radio silence and we didn't really hear from them. In the last few weeks, we've been seeing like images and videos from coming out of China showcasing this camera. I finally got my own copy. So let's unbox it and see what the package contains. So it comes in this nice box. So I would liken it to one of Lomography's cameras. It is quite a nice stylish box with a nice print here. I'm gonna just remove the stickers so that we can open it up. So as you all know, this is a beta set. So that means that this might not be final production. But the fact that it comes in such a nice box and everything, I think it's more or less certain that this is the camera we'll get. They come in a few colorways. I don't know which colorway I'll get. Looks like I got the black one, which is exactly the model I wanted. Underneath the box, there isn't anything. There's just some foam to protect the camera. So this is the camera itself. And then beneath that, what we have is actually a few informational booklets. I think there's a QR code with instructions here, which we will scan. There's some more QR codes here, and I guess brief instruction, but all the instruction, okay, so there is instructions in English and Mandarin on the other side. Looking at this, okay, I think this is a warranty card, so I just have to probably fill it in and then, yep. So let's see the camera itself. So this camera is quite unique in that there are very few instant film cameras that are modeled after medium format cameras natively. If you want to shoot Instax mini film, the only good cameras that are available are those from Mint, as well as now currently this one. This is actually modeled after a Seagull 203 camera. Which is actually funnily modeled after an Agfa Isolate, which is this camera here, which is Ian's own folder camera. So even though you don't really see us shooting folders, we do own them. So let's open the camera itself. So I probably need to read the instructions. So without further ado, let me go and quickly read them and I'll talk a bit more about the camera. Okay, so I've read the instructions here in English. So they're very simple to read, okay? This camera works just like the other folders from the past, so it's not really that difficult if you shot with them before. But for those who haven't, it might make sense to read and try out the camera. So to open the lens cover, you just have to slide it forward and the lens immediately ejects out, such as this, okay? It looks actually very nice. To be honest, when I hold the camera, okay, it has a nice heft, a nice premium feel. I don't know whether this is real leather, I doubt it, but this fake leather feels alright to the hand, not slippery or anything or sticky. The metal itself, looking at it, okay, there's some like residues and all that, but overall I would say it's quite nice, no complaints there. For the price you're paying, given that this is a folder and it shoots is an instant camera that shoots instant film, I think build quality wise isn't too bad. Ian had a feel of it, he concurs with what I said. Okay, so there are a few parts, maybe I'll just cover them. So this is your viewfinder and this is the rangefinder window. You view it through the back here. So later we'll show you how the rangefinder works. The film door is opened by pulling this latch down. Okay, once you pull it down, the film door opens. You can load your cartridges inside. To eject the film, it's just this knob here. Okay, you'll turn it in one direction. You'll notice that this camera has a cold shoe. So if you want to attach flash, you can, or any accessories, maybe a light meter perhaps. There are two holes here to attach your straps. It does have a tripod socket as well that you can use if need be. Okay, so let's open the camera. To open it is very simple. There's this switch here that you just slide. It ejects the front lens immediately forward. If you look at the front, there are like 3 colored dials, okay? I think it's quite simple to understand. So you would adjust your aperture with the red button here, okay? After you adjust it to the appropriate aperture, you will set the shutter speed by turning this dial, okay? If you want to engage the self-timer, then you would use orange. If not, you would bypass that entirely. Then just when you're about to shoot the image, you would cock the shutter. So you would cock it, and then when you're ready to shoot, you just press the shutter and it will release. So I think I was in bulb mode, yes. So I'm just gonna switch out of bulb mode so you can have you can actually hear the shutter. Okay, so it sounds great. One thing about these folders that you should note is once you've cocked the shutter, you should not turn the ring here to adjust the shutter speed. That could damage the mechanism inside. So I'm going to just release it first. To close the folder, it's very simple. Generally speaking, for all folders, it's quite handy to rotate the focus to infinity, okay? And then you would close it as such, okay? So that's how you would use a folder like this. Let's load a pack of film inside and let's try to shoot an image or two. Then we'll conclude our initial impressions of this camera. Okay, so I have a pack of Instax Mini film here. Let's open it up and let's load the camera. So this is Fujifilm's instant format. So just pull the latch here and you will open the camera. So it doesn't spring open, so just take note. So you might pull and it doesn't spring open. Some of these cameras, they will actually spring open once you pull the latch, which is kind of good, okay? So I presume it should go in this way. So in normal Instax camera, there's usually a yellow tab that you just match up, but I don't think this, you can insert it the other way. Yeah, I think it probably break the cartridge or the camera if you did it. So there shouldn't be any resistance, it just sits in like that. So I'm gonna close the film door. Once you close, it will automatically lock itself. I'm gonna eject the dark slide. So let's see how much resistance there is, okay. Okay. Okay, that wasn't bad actually. That is a lot better than I anticipated. That's looking at you, new lens camera. But let's see if we get full chemical spreads on the images we're gonna take. So to use the camera, as I said, very simple, okay? You'll meter your scene. This is a manual camera, so it doesn't have any automatic features. Open the lens, okay? Then after metering the scene, you would set your aperture. So to set your aperture, you would move this knob here, which is the red dot, okay? So I'm gonna shoot at f8, and then we would select our shutter speed based on this. So for this hypothetical situation, I'm gonna assume, so there's actually a dot here that you would line up with the shutter speed values. So let's say we are shooting at 1/60. And then when I'm ready, I would cock the shutter and then I would shoot. So maybe let's meter the scene, then I'll show you how to use it properly. Okay, so I'm just gonna shoot the light that we have here because otherwise it's a bit difficult for me to actually explain how to use the camera. So I've metered the scene. I used an external light meter. I got f8 at 1/60th of a second. So how you would adjust the aperture is you would move this dial. So I'm going to move it to f8 there. Okay. Then after that, of course, my shutter speed is already set to 1/60th. But say had it been at 1/300, I would just move this dial here until we are at 1/60th of a second. Then only I would actually cock the shutter. Okay. So the green tab here, once you pull it, you cock the shutter. You would release it by pressing here. But before you release it, make sure you focus on your object properly. So I'm going to focus by moving this ring here. I'm not sure whether you can see it. Okay, when you move the ring, the lens actually protrudes out and you can focus. When the lens is as close to you as possible, it's usually as infinity. You can actually see it here. But what you should use is the rangefinder here. Okay, it has a coupled rangefinder inside this camera. So I'm gonna use it, okay? I hope I'm not at the minimum focus distance, but let's see. Okay, I've taken the light, it should be all white and black only. Okay, so now I'm gonna eject the film. So I think continuous motions are good. Okay, that came out more easily than I thought, looking at you, new lens camera. We also got full chemical spread, so I am really pleased. The only question now is whether we'll get any bending because this is a manual ejection. So I tried to keep it continuous and smooth, ejecting the thing. It was very smooth, there wasn't much resistance. I think I'll let Ian try it in a bit. If the picture doesn't turn out well, then it's probably my exposure, because I'm shooting directly into light. I probably should underexpose it, but I did not. This image, we let it develop a bit more. Let Ian take a shot of me. Then I think we can look at that image. I think that would look a lot better since you already know how to operate this camera. All right, so let's look at the images. So this is the first image that I shot. Okay, so this is of our light box right there. I think exposure, I probably could work on it a little bit, but if you look carefully, you'll notice there's no bending, there's full chemical spread as well. And we didn't really have to struggle to eject the film as well. So I'm pleasantly surprised. I think Ian, when he first turned the dial, he was shocked because we've been using another device that we will not mention too much of. And this has turned out pretty well, okay? So of course, the exposure is a fault of my own. I should probably have underexposed it knowing that I'm shooting into the light. I took a shot outside as well. So this is just the garden outside. As you can see, no major bending issues. The image is quite sharp. It's a cloudy day outside, so I couldn't really go to very high shutter speeds. But optical quality-wise, it's pretty good as well. Ian took a photo of me. I think he missed focus ever so slightly. But I think he's not really used to using a rangefinder. He's not really a Leica guy, if you know. But otherwise, the exposure looks great. Full chemical spread. I don't see any obvious bending in the image as well. I think all these images are turning up nicely. Ian took a shot here, but it turned up a little bit dark. I retook the same shot, okay? I think once you nail down the exposure, so there might be a bit of trial and error. These are things you have to take note of. But as you get better and better, you will definitely nail your exposure as well. And the lens is clinically sharp. There's nothing really to complain about. The camera performs as it should. This was a shot also I took earlier. I took this at 1/15, same scene outside. It's a bit blurred because there's a bit of motion blur, but otherwise it's still clinically very, very sharp. User handling wise, initial impressions, okay, first thing first, okay? I realized that you can't really attach external shutter because there's no other way, external flash. There's no other way to actually trigger it using the shutter mechanism here. Perhaps there is a way, but I'm not really sure at the moment. Probably as I use the camera more, I'll probably figure it out. Film advance and ejection is extremely well made. It's smooth, you don't have to fight it. You can eject it in a very controlled fashion. I am very, very impressed with this. Hats off to TTARTISAN. Even though it took you a year to make this camera, it turned out pretty well. Optical quality, I can't complain. The cold shoe only functions, I guess, now currently to hold a light meter. Rangefinder patch-wise, okay, it is not as good as, of course, these premium ones, but it gets you there, okay? So for those who are not familiar with rangefinders, you will need some practice just to use this camera, but it will get you to that point. The other thing is there's no way for you to remember how many shots you've taken. There's no film counter built into this camera. So whenever you're using a pack, just make sure you keep all your images so that you roughly know how many shots you've actually taken. Otherwise, I think we are mightily impressed with this camera. What do you think, Ian?
It's better than the new lens shit. It's like bullshit.
Yeah, this is actually fantastically made. I think for what it is well made. The optical quality seems to be there. The film advance is there. It's pretty easy to use if you come from a folder background or if you come from a rangefinder background. If you haven't used such cameras, you will have a bit of a learning curve. So don't anticipate this to be a camera where you can immediately take it out of the box and start shooting. This is a manual camera. It requires you to slow down your photography. But if you do that and you nail it, the images will look stunning. So this is Prash signing off from Midlifers. I hope you all like this initial impressions. I'm going to play with this camera a little bit more. If you love this first introduction, day 0 into this camera, please like and subscribe. If you want to see more reviews about this camera, feel free to let us know down below. And I'll see you in the next episode of Midlifers.